accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show! And you're listening to Show X Live with Ken in a student accommodation all the way in Scotland, and Wade in his white windowless van? Uh-oh, I better get out of here. Enjoy the show!
Hey, look at that. Let's try this again. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com. It is currently the, let's see, what is it today? The 27th of November, 2016, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT. All right, sorry about that everyone. We specifically tried to test everything on the show before starting it, and then we started it, and it broke. And so, yeah, go figure how that happens. Anyhow, we're back and we're live and we're on now, so we'll try to do it right this time. Oh, jeez. Anyhow, let's see. As we start this, let's go ahead and kick it off with a bit of
functional deviations.
Hey there, Ken. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, and I can't believe the date. I always say this every single week, because every single week I'm actually forced to actually consider the date, because that's what we do at the top of the show. We actually say the date. And I started to think to myself, wow, it is indeed the 27th of November. That's crazy. That's 27 days, 4 hours, 53 minutes, and 54 seconds away from Christmas.
Oh, gosh.
At least for me in the UK. Which is great. So that's cool. But it always shocks me. That means we're almost finished with 2016. It has been a crazy year. It's been a nuts, crazy, psycho year for politics, for society, for music, for games, for technology. It's been pretty nuts this year. And
it has been nuts. It has definitely been nuts. In fact, one of the more nutty things that's just happened, and since you brought up nuts and crazy year it is, I'm kind of interjecting here, is that I'm actually very sad today to report that yesterday we lost one of the actors I really, really liked. We just lost Ron Glass, who is the gentleman who, for those who don't know, played Shepherd Book on Firefly and Serenity. And he was only 71 years old. He just passed. He was a great both film and stage performer, as well as, I mean, he got to start back when people first saw him. I think it was in, was it Barney Fife or something like that? It was one of the old cop shows from way back in the day that he started on, and has been doing a ton of things since. And unfortunately, I still have not heard or read anything that talked about what was the cause of his death. But really sad. And through all of my social networks, all the places where I'm a part of, like brown coat groups, essentially all of us that are fans of the show, yeah, a lot going out right now about the loss of Ron Glass, and I'm just so sad about that. But anyhow, we'll let that go. Yes, crazy year. Yes, it's almost over. But at the same time, I will say I still never understand or get or feel the need, as I've seen some people do, to comment that it's the idea of like, screw this year, let's get to the next. Because I hear those comments all the time, and it's like, one, I don't want to go any faster through my time frame, because we only have so much time. And it's not like suddenly a new calendar year is going to change anything in the world. So don't rush to get ahead. Deal with what's now and enjoy where you're at. Little things I have. Anyhow, bigger, brighter, hopefully nicer things. But yeah, just
God, if you're not happy with your crappy life, get up and do something about it. Don't wait for the calendar year to tick over. Go do something. Get up and do something. Change something. Don't moan on Facebook. Just go do it. Just do it.
Oh God, yes. Need to play that clip from Shia LaBeouf.
His do. There's multiple remix versions. I'm sure we could get copyright allowances for.
There are so many. One of my favorites is someone had just done one with. I forget which animated character it was, but I had seen it just recently where they took a game engine character and had them basically do the entire thing voiced over, going around doing the whole thing. And I've seen one with like Miku from, Vocaloids and a couple other stuff. Just do it. Get out there. Do it.
Do it. Just do it. So I think things are good. I think what you're asking me how I was at the very beginning.
Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
No, I think it was me who kind of did it. It was both of us who tangent. We always tangent. That's fine. This is literally a section for tangentializing.
Yeah.
Tangentiling. Yes. Tangential yes.
Whoa. Hey. Yeah. All the tangents of fundling.
Yes, we talk random stuff in this section as well as what we've been up to in our personal lives the past week. So let's touch on that. But at the very top of the show, let me do that thing that we do. Art contest, folks. We have so far 6 submissions, which is fantastic and really good, except for the fact they're entirely done by me and Wayne. And we kind of host the competition, which kind of makes it not really 6 submissions. It makes it kind of 6 fake submissions in a way. I mean, we still take part, we still have fun and everything, but, you know, it's not a case of...
We want to see from all of you, right? We want to see from everyone else, not just us.
Yeah, it's not just a place for me and Wayne to compete with our photography skills. It's a place for us to do lots of stuff, for everybody to take part, and for us all to have fun as a community. So, come along, go to the forums, you know where they are. And go into the VTW Productions website, click on forums at the top, go down the Show X board, and take part in our art contest. It's not just photography, it's anything you wish, so long as you can make it fit to the theme. And they're intentionally... there's 2 purposes for the themes. One is so that if it's too open, you might struggle for ideas, so we give you some themes. And 2 is just so that you don't do the same thing every time. So you can actually, try out new things and have a bit of fun with it. So the themes are Thanksgiving, snow, autumn, patterns, portrait, and the quote, war never changes. You can have a maximum of 3 submissions, and the end date is in 7 days' time from today, so it's the 4th of December. However, that's fine, yeah, the 4th of December, yeah. So, if you are interested, please do go take part. It's good fun. It doesn't need to be anything like, you don't need to spend 6 hours doing like a majestic painting. You could just spend 25 seconds taking a photo on your phone. You could just whip together something like a bit of cooking and take a photo of it. Whatever you want. Because Thanksgiving, I mean, come on, if you just have some photos from your Thanksgiving, just put them up. Put the one that you think is more artsy. Think of it, or put up a picture of like, I don't know, your kids like festive I don't know, decorations that they made at school or something. I mean, you can do anything. It's very open, wide ranging. So come take part. It's good fun. All right. Other than that, let's see. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I did a lecture for the 4th year undergraduate security module at my university. Normally I teach 1st and 2nd year and one 4th year class, but I don't really do any lecturing other than the occasional guest lecture, and that's exactly what was asked of me this time. I was asked to go do a guest lecture, which is cool. And so I went along and did that, and it went very swimmingly. I think I talked about it last week, but it was all about security and how to do basic ethical hacking and stuff like that, how to become a penetration tester, also known as a pen tester, because it's less jokes are made when you say pen tester and penetration tester. So
entertaining, though.
Yes, it is. So I did that, and that was fine. and I was asked to go do another lecture. I was asked to do the exact same lecture, but for the computing club at the university, because it turns out the dude who's in charge of the computing club was there at the first lecture and said, "Hey, that'd be really great for the general computing club as well as this class." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I went and did that on Monday. I presented to the computing club. I stayed late because they think they have the meeting at 5:30, so I had to stay like past 5. So I hung around, did extra work and everything. Did the lecture, and that went well as well. That was good. They enjoyed it, and it's always fun scaring them to show how easy it is to do some basic hacks, and to show you what can happen. Really scary to see what can happen when somebody does successfully get into something. I showed them how much data Google has on you. And so I explained, if somebody broke into your Google account, this is what they can see. And they included like all your location information for the past number of years, all of your Google search history, and I showed them this from my history. I said, look, if you could I asked them to give me a random day on a random month, a random year in the past 2 years. I clicked on it, and it popped up on the screen, and it had photos. It told me when I walked, which bus services I took. Not just that I took the bus, but the specific bus service it worked out that I took. And a bunch of other information, just saying here you were here at this time, and then I explained how it'd be really easy if someone was stalking you and they broke into your email account, they could easily just like work out your daily rotation, work out what you do every single day, work out where you work out where you drop your kids off for school, and all this other stuff, and all their jaws had dropped slightly, like, oh my god. Like, I don't think anybody quite realized just how much data is stored on them and how easy it is to get to. And then from the interface, I brought up the screen that allows you to wipe, lock, or ring your Android phone so you can find it, right? That's the whole purpose of it. Then I explained, if somebody had broken into your Google account, if you tried to stop them, they could just wipe your machine remotely. They can just wipe your phone. Just go, boop, done, it's gone. You're now walking around with a brick.
See, Ken, why are you scaring kids like this so much? I mean, can't you let kids have a little bit of innocence and, hope in the world?
Oh, but I'd rather they be a little bit more guarded and wary online than instead just assuming it'll all be fine, using the same password to everything, and then one day losing everything. I mean, like when you lose your PayPal, your Steam account, for God's sake, your banking information, I don't know, they break into your photos and get a bunch of private photos of like you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend or something. I mean, that's the end of your career right there and then. I mean, that's horrible, right? So you've got to be really careful of this kind of thing. And so yeah, I did that lecture for the computing club, as well as for the security module. And then after that, I got approached and asked to do it for the whole department. Now they said to me, hey, can you do a lecture for the department? Because I think there's a lot of stuff people could be really interested in. I was like, yeah, sure.
It's like, oh my god, that's scary. That sucks. Could you please tell everybody?
I kind of just wish that I was asked to do it for the whole department and invite everybody at the start, so I didn't have to do it 3 times. But I suppose it's a good thing.
Well, obviously what you've said has resonated, and they see the value in it. Indeed. So that was good fun, and I look forward to doing the same lecture for a 3rd time. If anybody's interested, I can share my slides if you're interested in seeing the basics of how to do ethical hacking. I can share that with you, because it's not university property, it is my own, so that's fine. On Wednesday, I had a big presentation because since in a week's time, in exactly 7 days today, I'll be traveling to Athens, Greece, to present my research, my paper that I published. So I'll be away for approximately a week, leaving in 7 days' time. So I'll be gone from next Sunday till the Saturday after that, and which is cool. I'm looking forward to it. But in order to get ready to present in front of, loads and loads and loads of people who are all experts in the field and come from around the world, I wanted to present to my department first and say, hey, what do the experts here think of everything I've done and my presentation, so that I can correct it and collate feedback and improve upon what I was going to say before saying it in front of a group of people who would easily tear me to shreds there, So, yeah. It went well. I went surprisingly well. I've been to these presentations in the past within the department where PhD students are just torn to shreds, where they're just said,
Well, parents just say clearly you haven't done your reading because this is all we've done before. If you read the paper by the authors,
Oh,
yada, yada,
yeah.
you haven't done. And then they have to restart the topic or whatever, and that's terrifying, right? Imagine standing up there and getting told, "Oh, by the way, your last 2 years of your work is kind of redundant." It's terrifying. And
Well, this is why
it's been done by somebody else. It's not just it's been done. It's been done in a faster and more efficient way than what you were doing.
Well, that's the thing. It's when if you're going to do your thesis, essentially, if you're doing a paper that's talking, because the whole point is supposed to be improving or adding to your industry, to your part of the field, you need to do your research.
Oh yeah. To be able to add to the field, you need to know the field. You know, you can't produce research without first knowing the inside and outside of every other paper in the field. Like literally, you must learn the very specific thing that you're learning. You must have read pretty much every other paper out there, or at least every important one. Otherwise, you're never going to be sure if somebody else has already done your work or not.
Yeah, you really need to double check.
Like if you're trying to say like, oh, I'm trying to come up with a formula that'll make this thing 20% faster, and then you find out that somebody just released a paper that does the way you're trying to do 22% faster. I mean, that makes your thing entirely redundant. So, you know, who cares about your 20%? We've got 22%. It's like somebody saying, I don't know, look at this really fast steam engine I made for trains. And it's like, yeah, but buddy, we replaced steam engines like decades ago. What are you doing? Why did you make a steam engine? We've got better things available. It just doesn't make sense to develop that technology anymore. Even if it is faster than a steam engine, we don't use steam engines for a reason. But yeah, so you gotta always learn your stuff. And so it's kind of scary standing up and saying what I've been up to, just in case somebody says, but, you know, that's always a fear. But it went really well. All the criticisms I heard were not about my work, but about my presentation itself. They said things like, oh, you shouldn't have that many decimal places on that slide. Make sure you have notes in front of you, because you've been staring at the screen a lot. I've done a lot of lectures, and I am a very good person for talking to the crowd. I'm quite confident, probably because of this show. I have no problem standing up and talking in front of loads of people. I find it quite fun, actually. I enjoy the adrenaline rush like a weirdo. I only just wrote my presentation. I kind of threw it together last minute, and so I didn't know what was on my slides, so I had to keep turning around and looking at them. So I was talking to the presentation, which was bad.
Oh yeah, that's always bad. No good.
Well, I totally agree that I shouldn't have done that, and that is my own fault. I did that presentation, all went well. I was happy with that. I have done a ridiculous amount of teaching this week. I did 16 hours, and considering this is not my main job, it's like an extra side thing. It's a bit of money. It's a bit of money on the side and trying to give back kind of thing as well. Oh man, I'm so tired this week. I've done because all the teaching hours have to be on top of my normal hours, right? Even if they are 9 to 5, meaning I usually have to work weekends. So I've worked 8 days in a row at the moment. I've been into university 8 days in a row. And admittedly, yesterday I was only in for 1 hour, but I took my work home and then worked from home, so I was still working. It's still tiring. So I've got 5 more days of teaching, and then that's teaching done for the semester. Which is nice. As much as I enjoy the extra income, it's also going to be nice to have some more free time, or at least time I can spend doing my actual job. You know, that'll be
What a concept.
Nice. I know. So that's good, but that also means it's exam period just now, an assignment period. So I'm getting, honestly, every other hour I'm getting an email from a student saying, Ken, I'm stuck, I don't understand this, or Ken, can I get an extension? I miss my train. And I'm just like, I'm at home, leave me alone. Let me just relax, it's the weekend. So I'm looking forward to the time off, it'll be nice. And the last thing I think I want to talk about, let me just make sure by looking at my calendar, this is the last thing, I think so. I want to talk about the show a little bit meta here. Feedback in general, guys. We haven't really asked for feedback in a while, but we've recently done up our video, but both of us now have the lighting installed on both sides. So if you could look at the quality of the video on the YouTube stream, go to youtube.com, look for Versus the World video, you'll find us. Or just search for ShowX on Google, etc. You'll find us that way too. So at ShowX VTW or something, you should find us. And tell us what our video looks like. Is it good quality? What would you suggest we improve next? that kind of thing would be very much welcome. Obviously, I think one of the glaring things is the fact that we've still got this crashing problem. We need to obviously fix that. And as well as my internet is not the best. I mean, right now I'm looking at, to me, Wayne is pixelated, which means my video is probably getting uploaded pixely, which means
you look good.
Isn't as really okay.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's not, because I've looked at the stream. I looked at the stream of last week, and it wasn't as high quality as what I see myself right now.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It can be improved. So perhaps we should. I don't know if we should consider something other than Skype, or whether just need to improve my broadband or whatever. Because I don't know. I have a feeling that unless there's like some premium service somewhere, we're always going to have a kind of bitty video connection, because we don't have a direct-to-direct connection. We go through different servers, and because Skype's a free service, you're never going to get this fantastic connection anyway. It's going to be reliable, but it's not going to be brilliant. So, yeah. Any feedback's welcome. Send us in a tweet to @VTWShowX, or send us an email if you want to be old school to showx@VTWdirections.com. Just subject it feedback or whatever. We'd appreciate that. Because we do get donations from you guys through patreon.com/showx. And because of that, we want to make sure that the money goes towards the things that you guys want us to spend on, like to improve the show, you know? Not just on booze. I'm kidding. We don't spend on booze. So please do let us know. One more thing I had here. Yes, so I realized, in fact, my parents reminded me. They were like, so why is your show intro the same as it's been for like 3 years? And I was like, I know, we need to change it. So I need to sit down with Kitten and say to her, hey, we need to do this thing. We need to do a thing. And actually like do a new intro. The creative juices required are kind of lacking, though. So again, if you have any suggestions or funny intros, that's definitely welcome. But otherwise, because I really like the current intro. I love the soundtrack behind it, but sometimes YouTube flags it for copyright, even though we do have rights to it.
Yeah, so darn bots.
Yeah. So we might have to maybe record our own or something. I don't know. I'll think about it. But anyway, that's all I've been up to this week, sir. So what have you been up to in your non-geekery?
Let's see, my non-geekery for the week. Let's see. I got, first of all, the big one I'll bring up is that for those of us here in the U.S., last Thursday was our own Turkey Murder Day. Thank you, Canada, for giving us a good name for that, even though it's really yours. But our Thanksgiving holiday, which really is just the beginning of our season of gluttony. It starts with us eating far more than we should on Thanksgiving to just getting in time to finish up all the leftovers in time for Christmas, and then to drink out the end of the year with New Year's Eve. And so, as we go into this holiday season, I decided it was kind of a few things that got me into the path that I actually hosted my own Thanksgiving this year. It started with the friend group that I would normally go visit. They kind of were bouncing around their ideas a couple different times as to who and where they would be hosting. And in doing so, they hadn't come up with a solid answer as to say, oh, we're going here. And honestly, the week of Thanksgiving, it jumped like 3 different times.
Jesus.
But what I had done is I kind of kept having a little bit of a desire in the back of my head to finally host one myself, and yet the group wasn't going to come to my house. And so I had been chatting with a couple of people at work, a couple of interns that are working where I do, who are basically away from family. They don't have any of their family around. Oh. And their normal friend groups were going back home to their families, and so they were kind of left to themselves. And in talking to them, they were kind of saying that they were just going to spend it eating basic dinner at one house or something. I was like, no, that can't happen. And so I invited them to come over.
Nice. You're so kind.
It was also an opportunity, though, for me to host a Thanksgiving myself, to actually make the turkey and do all the fixings and things like that. And so I did, which was entertaining, fun, and a little trying. There is, I would say, some level of stress anytime you put yourself out there to host. And for me, it was in the discussions, one of the interns, Ash, had talked about her only thing she cared about was mashed potatoes. That apparently she has a significant fondness for potatoes, and mashed potatoes in particular. And so I was like, all right, I will make those, as well as I'm going to make the turkey, the ham, stuffing, let's see, the mashed potatoes, what else? Oh, and green bean casserole. which when I kept talking about it, I stopped. I didn't really think through enough about how much I'd really signed myself up for, because those are all like major dishes. And then one of the gals had said she'd make a dessert as well as cranberry sauce, which traditionally I'm not a big fan of, because it's like every time I've ever seen cranberry sauce prior, it comes out of the can in this little like purplish red like lump.
We have jars of it, which is much nicer.
Yeah, well, so regardless, I was just like, I don't understand why people do cranberry sauce, where I tend to do gravy and such.
I love cranberry sauce.
Well, that's the thing. Every time I'd seen it out of a can, I just like, nope, no desire. And
do you guys have do you have bread sauce over there?
What?
Bread sauce.
By name alone, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wow, bread sauce is a staple here for Christmas dinner for me anyway. Bread sauce. If you don't know what it is, I recommend googling it. It just looks like liquid bread, to be honest, but it's so good. Let me describe it here. A bread sauce is a warm or cold sauce, is generally warm, which is thickened with bread. It's a savory sauce and usually served with a main meal. The sole survivor of the medieval bread-thickened sauces, the traditional British bread sauce is made with milk, butter, or cream, breadcrumbs, and flavored with onion, salt, cloves, mace, pepper, and bay leaf, with the fat of roasting often added too. It's typically accompanied domestic fowls with turkey or chicken. So it is pretty much made for like the kind of Thanksgiving / Christmassy food types.
It sounds similar to what we do with just our gravy and how we make those. Because like I actually made traditional gravy this year by following my cooking, senpai, if you will, Alton Brown, who does Good Eats and is all about the science of cooking. And I followed his basically recipes for turkey. What was it? His turkey. That might have been and his gravy. I just took a spiral cut ham and I did that in a slow cooker with the kind of honey glaze that comes with it, the brown sugar glaze. And then I did a sour cream mashed potatoes, so I kind of found a different recipe for that. And I just used the traditional French's onions, the crispy onions bag version of the green bean casserole. And then I think I used Alton Brown's recipe for the macaroni and cheese as well. And so I did all that. But it's weird because when you're saying that, the bread sauce, I mean, it sounds like a savory gravy almost, but thickened with bread. And so even thicker, because like I used the leftovers from the turkey, the drippings and such, and boiled it down with a little bit of oil and added some seasonings to that, and then some flour to thicken it up to make the gravy. And I mean, it sounds like very similar, except that you'd use bread to thicken it up instead of just the flour. So it seems like a similar concept to our gravy, but in a different texture.
I think I gotta say, I think bread added to it sounds a lot nicer than adding flour.
Well, and I think it's because that consistency. Because the gravy we usually pour over everything, like you pour it over, especially your potatoes, and your meats often, and so they cover it to give it additional flavor and to kind of mix with.
Oh, fair enough.
So
it does sound tasty.
Well, and because Copy brought up, I think, bread pudding there, which I normally think to be a sweet type thing versus savory, where this sounds savory. And
so what you do with bread butter pudding is bread. Well, we call it bread and butter pudding, and not just bread pudding. But bread and butter pudding is you get like just slices of bread, preferably quite fresh, and you add a bunch of sultanas or raisins, and you just add some milk and butter and sugar. Like you layer the bread, then you add some of the other ingredients, then you layer some more bread, you add the ingredients, and so on until your casserole dish is full. Then you cover it with milk until the milk pretty much goes to the top. Then you just shove it in the oven for like 2 hours. It's a really, really cheap, easy to make dish, but it comes out absolutely delicious. Like I can't even describe how tasty it is. You would be so surprised because nobody would, for something that costs effectively like a couple £1 to make enough for like 5 people. It's so delicious, and it was made, I believe, during World War era for families who were living under starving conditions and under rations. And so when they were struggling to make desserts, what they would do is they make bread and butter pudding, because it was just using the bread they have, the butter they have, and the basic ingredients they have, throw it all together and put it in the oven with some sugar, and it is actually absolutely delicious. So it's a piece of history, and I recommend it because it is just delicious, and it's a great student dish as well. If you're living on the cheap, it is so, even if you're not, it's worth it, to be honest. But
you're just saying you like it, so it's
for cash.
It's good regardless. That's funny though, because for me, I don't know if I've ever had bread pudding actually.
Oh.
Like I've heard about it forever, but I don't know if I've ever actually had it. And I keep thinking like, for whatever reason, in my mind, it's something that I'm looking at as like I don't know if I would like it or not.
I think you would. It's tough. Do you like raisins? That's the only really flavor in it.
So raisins. I do. I like raisins.
Well, you like that.
I just don't know if I'd like raisins in like a dish like that. I don't know. I kind of feel like I've had it once, but I'm not sure.
Well, I'll tell you what. Next time we meet up, whenever and wherever that may be, I will make you bread and butter pudding. Okay?
I am down for it. Hey, I ate very well when last we were together, so I'd be down for that.
Definitely. That'll be awesome.
So awesome. What else did I? Listen, that was the main stuff that we had. Like I said, my cousin participated. Jed was there. He purchased pies from his workplace because Sam's Club carries some amazing pies. So he picked up 3 of their massive pies, and we still have several or all of them left to some degree. But he got a caramel apple pie, he got a pecan pie, and he got a pumpkin pie, which are kind of some of the staples of the holiday. And he also got like a huge gallon of ice cream to go with some of them, as well as whipped cream to go with the pumpkin pie. So we had that for dessert, as well as Rachel, the other intern, made Buckeyes, which are essentially big round versions of Reese's peanut butter cups, because they were like a sugar peanut butter blend for a filling, drizzled with chocolate around them. And so one of the holy unions that is out there is that of peanut butter and chocolate, and Buckeyes definitely are those. And as well as Ash made a sweet potato casserole, which is another sweet dish that goes along with. So I had mass amounts of food, and the bigger problem I had is I think every recipe I did, I kind of like quadrupled the quantity. In fact, I'm pretty sure Copy was joking on me the entire time, talking about how silly it was for how much food I was making. But I had ended up getting dishes from Sam's Club that were these massive pans. Mm-hmm. And I don't know exactly how much they hold, but they're at least 3 times the size of a normal cooking, like 9 by 13 pan or something like that. So you normally put a cake in or something. These are significantly larger, designed for catering. And I was feeling like I needed to fill them. And so I made pounds and pounds of food. In fact, I made over like 15 pounds of mashed potatoes.
My God.
In the actual potatoes. Well, it might have been less than that. No, it was about that, because I actually had to make it twice because I ruined the first set. Which is partly where I stress. I started making the potatoes, but I was following a recipe I saw online that talked about putting salt in the water to really get some of the salt into the boiling.
That's smart, right? It doesn't help it boil faster, but it does make it taste better.
It's supposed to do both, essentially. A little bit of the...
I've talked to a chemist about it. It doesn't. Even salty water boils at the same rate as not. It's an old wives' tale, but it does.
Well,
it doesn't make it taste better. So it's
well, no, it does make it boil faster, but it doesn't make it boil hotter. The key is it just breaks it down so that the actual boiling temperature of water is lower. So the problem is when you're cooking, you're actually going for temperature, not for just water making bubbles. Which, the visual process of boiling is not what you're looking for. And so the salt is supposed to lower the temperature that water boils at, but it doesn't actually help with the cooking. And so it's kind of a falsehood in that. That's how I've always heard it. That it doesn't change the actual, it just changes
I Googled it. So the amount of salt you'd have to add to actually make a difference that's more than just less than 0.00 something seconds would be like a truck full. So it does make a difference, but not one. It takes longer to add the salt than it does the difference to make the boil.
Well,
so technically we're both right. You're right that it does make it faster, but I'm also right that it's not worth doing.
Oh yeah,
but it's worth doing for like I said.
It's more for the flavor. Yeah, it's more for the flavor. And the recipe I followed said to do a lot of salt, but I think it was basing that on normal sea level boiling and stuff like that, and that it goes faster because up here, at least where I'm at, it did not take the 10 minutes it required to boil. It took much longer. The challenge with that was it meant that was more time for the salt to absorb into the potatoes. And so my first one I made, which I had peeled basically 15 pounds of potatoes for, was so salty it was essentially inedible. And so I had to, Thursday morning, run to a store again because I was trying to prep all this stuff Wednesday night so I'd just be able to cook the next day. I spent so much time on the potatoes, I had to go back and get another bag of potatoes on Thanksgiving Day and peel those and make another setup. No. At which point I then had to take I took some, I did it without any salt, and then I took some of the ruined potatoes and mixed it in until it was about the right flavor. But it still means I ended up tossing most of the first batch because it was way too salty. And so that part was like my one crisis piece. The other piece, and probably the biggest part about Thanksgiving, is the turkey. And this is another one where when I bought the turkey, I didn't really think about what I had done. Because I thought, I have like a 13, 14-pound turkey, right? That'll be enough for 4 of us. It'll be a little bit much. We'll have leftovers, no problem. Apparently, I actually picked up a 19-pound turkey. So it was a little more.
A little extra.
But I brined it, which if you haven't ever done that, brining a turkey is absolutely the way to go. You let it soak in seasonings for basically a night, overnight, and that allowed the seasoning to really enter the entire turkey. And then I did Alton Brown's method of cooking it really hot for the first bit to sear everything in and then let it cook out the rest of the time. And it made, for me, some of the most moist, flavorful turkey I've ever had, which made me really happy for it being my first turkey. So
that's very impressive.
I was really happy. I did well. I will do my own little pat on the back for that piece. But as a whole, I made mountains of food. It came out very well. We essentially just sat around the house, played Rock Band, and the gals had brought Call of Duty, was it Black Ops 2 on Xbox 360, and we played a zombies mode on that, which I had never done before, which was entertaining, a little odd. I'd probably prefer just regular Left 4 Dead, but it was fun. And then we watched football, because that is kind of a tradition here, is that we always have football games on Thanksgiving. And what better way to let food digest than to basically pass out on a couch while watching people throw a hand egg around on the field and just let it absorb. So did all of that and kind of called it a day. But it was really nice. It was fun. It was probably the smallest Thanksgiving I've done in some time. But it was nice. Now, the challenge with that, though, because like my other roommate was working, unfortunately, Fork was working Thanksgiving, so she didn't get to eat during. She had to come back and get leftovers. But man, do I have some leftovers. I have mounds of food, and because I have to make a concerted effort now to get through it, only thing I'm allowing myself to eat until it's gone is Thanksgiving. Holy cow.
Every day is Thanksgiving for like a week in the Wayne household.
Oh, God, it's so bad. It's so bad. I think we got through half of one of the pies and the quarter of the other two, and then the mac and cheese is going to kill me because there's a whole massive thing of that. But the rest I'm doing all right. I've already had a couple like turkey and ham sandwiches and stuff like that, and it's all really good, so I don't feel bad. But I went gluttonous to a point where I probably should have invited about a dozen more people and still would have had leftovers. It's just silly. But that was my Thanksgiving. It worked out well, so that was nice. Following Thanksgiving, directly after and just before, is Black Friday. So for those on the interwebs, I don't know if everyone in the rest of the world can deal with it as well and take advantage of our sales we do. But the day after Thanksgiving has always been a big holiday for sales. So a big, essentially consumerist type holiday. And commercialism, in that everybody puts a lot of things on sale because they're trying to get all the numbers up for the end of the year, for everyone's fiscal year type thing, for all the businesses, so that sales were high enough. So they count on massive sales over the weekend of Black Friday and then into Cyber Monday tomorrow. And so there were sales all going on. I actually have to appreciate a lot of stores. What they've done recently is they've set up sales that started kind of earlier, a week before, or the entire month of November, things like that, so that you don't get, although I still saw stories and reports of the chaos that can happen on Black Friday. And traditionally, and it's such a bad sign of essentially America, in that in the U.S. we have people who are so worried about, items and things that they will go into harm's way with each other to try to get a deal, to try to save some money on the things they're purchasing. And so there's videos out there of people running each other over, fighting for items and things like that that are on sale, which is silly. Thankfully, I avoided all that. On Wednesday, I took the 2 interns because part of their goal was to get new computers. Their laptops had both failed them. And so we went down to the candy store, and I recommended a nice new Asus Republic of Gamers laptop for them that was on sale for $700. And the key was It came with an Intel i7 chip. It was a 15-inch monitor. Came with, 16 gigs of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, and the key was an NVIDIA 960 mobile chip for a graphics card, all for basically $700, which I thought was quite a good deal. I think the only thing that would have gone higher was when you got up to about the $1,000 range, you started getting into laptops that had 10 series cards in them that had 1060s. But did that as well as I was able to pick up a computer for one of my friend's friends, Tom, who had given me $500 cash and said, I want a gaming computer. Build me a gaming computer. Here's $500. Now, I could have done it just with cash, and I had some leftover parts I probably could have used, but I kind of wanted to give him his own first, fully bought computer. And thankfully, I looked around the webs and found a computer from Cyber Gaming. Was it Cyber PC or Cyber Power? Cyber Power PC. That company that does their own custom builds. They produced, and on Black Friday in this last week or so, that's been on sale. You might still be able to find it for a similar price. But for under $500, they have a computer that came in a pretty slick case, but it was an AMD-powered computer, an AMD 4300FX chip, I believe. It had 16 gigs of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, and the video card in it is a new series AMD 460. They're little of the new 400 series cards. All of it for basically $499. And when I went to the candy store, they had it on sale for $460. So all said and done, after taxes, it was like $495. And I was able to even give him change back in cash to give him the whole thing. Now, that did not include a monitor. That was just, the case and all the stuff inside it, but also with a new copy of Windows 10. And so,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, so I was doing all the math, and to do that myself would have been a serious challenge. And so I felt pretty damn good to be able to put that or to find something for him for under the $500 he had and get him a brand new computer that should last him for several years. And after I got it, I started up, got things activated for him and installed a few things. I was actually really impressed with how quick it ran for as cheap a computer as it was. So it's great to kind of continue the idea that you can build a PC for almost the price of the consoles, essentially.
Fantastic. That's good.
So that was quite nice. And so I did that for Black Friday. Other than that, I know some of my friends like El Campo picked up a new television. He got a 55-inch or something like that. 4K Samsung for less than $400. And there were a lot of television deals out there. I've avoided. I don't watch enough TV to necessitate it. I keep waiting for someone to give my monitor that I want built and then put that on sale. So I'm holding off on anything like that. But the big thing that I am looking at, I talked a little bit about still, is I kind of need a new car. My Ranger's been dead now for a while, and I'm not even really trying to look at fixing it anymore. And I do have the Miata, has snow tires. It could get me through the winter, but it still seems like to be a bit of a challenge. So I've been test driving cars recently and need to do some more, trying to decide if it's tenable for me to take on a new car payment. I believe I can. I believe I can afford to. It just would hurt. But it's maybe time for me to finally get a brand new vehicle, something that has all these new features I hear from people, like power windows and cruise control.
Brand new? You don't mean used or anything?
Well, new or within the last year or two of coming out kind of thing. Although I've been looking at new, admittedly. And the things I've been looking at are, unfortunately, in the range of about $25,000. So imagine for you it'd be 17,000, 18,000 pounds. Yeah. Maybe a little less.
A small amount.
So not cheap, cheap, but not expensive. Not one of these $30,000+ cars out there. And it's a challenge for me because I hate that they make things so big today, especially here in the U.S. I want a nice small vehicle. I'm used to a lot of small vehicles and get easy being able to get in and out of traffic and being able to park it anywhere I want and getting good mileage. What a crazy concept. And so I've been struggling with that, and I'm hoping, and I've been getting calls from people, and I'm doing the whole I don't want to commit to this, but I may be going in somewhere by Wednesday when a lot of these deals end and pulling the trigger on spending about 20 grand or so on a vehicle. We'll see.
Oh, jeez. That's a big commitment, yeah.
It is, but to have something that has an actual like warranty on it and can be fixed and stuff and isn't already seeing like 100,000 miles on it would be kind of nice. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So, those are the things I'm doing with those. Outside of all that nonsense, let's see. I've been doing a lot of photography. I just did another photo shoot yesterday for kind of a portrait shoot. Outdoors for Christmas card type photos. So I now have a queue of things that I need to be editing. So I'll be doing a lot of photo editing and less gaming here, which is going to be such a challenge because I have so many good games to play. And then, as well as with my time, I have to work on my costume for New Year's Eve that I keep talking about. I have everything I think I need for it, but I need to do some measuring. I have a little picture I've made of myself. It's really just a stick figure of a guy, essentially, that I need to do measurements to see how much fabric I have to add to this costume I purchased because it is too small. And so I'll be doing a lot of altering, which I've not done before, or at least not this extent. So that'll be interesting. And I realize I only really have a couple weekends to do it because I'm going to be out of town for 1 week in December.
Oh,
yep, that's going to catch up with me. And finally, the other thing I have going on that's not another not happy note is that my cat Cleo, unfortunately, is very broken. And has been a bit of a stressor lately because, you know, I've had her for basically 18 years.
Oh,
so she's not young.
Yep.
And while she still believes she's an absolute kitten and tries to do everything she can, she essentially has had bouts of losing control and strength of her back legs.
Oh, no.
And to the point where she's had a lot of trouble walking. Right now, last I saw her, she was doing pretty good. But going up and down the steps in this house, she has to take them like 1 or 2 steps at a time and then rest. And it's weird because animals, I think in general, are very sturdy and don't show pain well. But she is doing everything she can to just ignore that she has anything like disabling her. So she tries to do everything like she always does. But she gets a little frustrated because then she'll just like flop over the ground because her legs stopped working. And the challenge is, so she's gotten around, she's still able to do everything, grab her food, go to the litter box, everything she needs to do. But when she tries to come sleep, like in either my bed or my cousin's, we have these tall beds. And she has no ability to jump now because her hind legs just won't do it. So she looks and she kind of tries to make the little effort. And then essentially what she's been doing is just claws out and scaling the bed or such to try to get in. And we both feel so bad that we try to pay attention, but she likes to get up and out of the beds multiple times at night, and we'll be out cold. But I'll see her up next to me, and I'm like, how'd you get up here? You're broken. And so whatever she's doing, she doesn't have she won't accept that she's broken. But
well, hopefully she'll power through it. I mean, like, you never know. It might just be like a debilitation for a little while, and then she'll come out of it. You never know.
We'll see. Like I said, she's been fluctuating. It's hard to say. She's definitely old. I have to accept that. I took her to the vet, and they had nothing to say for as much money as I spent, so we'll see. Don't know. But there's a little bit of a stressor with that. Anyhow, though, that's what's been going on.
I hope all is well with your kitty. I hope that she's...
I have to accept. She's an old cat, so we'll see. And yes, Copy, she's talking about little stairs up to the beds. We've created extra platforms for her to get up, but the challenge is she won't even use them sometime because she's so stubborn. She wants to go up the bed like she always has. And so about half the time she'll use the routes that we're trying to build her that are a little easier. And then other times she's just like, no, I want to go up here. And it's like, but you can't. And again, it's her not accepting that she's basically broken. So it's so... Anyway.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like Animal Kingdom. If you show weakness, it's not a good thing, right? So
I suppose. And I have to accept that she may not make it as long as I'd hope. And I knew it would come at some point, but it's getting close, and I'm starting to
She's had a long life. 18 years is nothing to snuff at.
And she's had a good life, but she's still there. She's still kicking, so we'll see how it goes. But I don't know. One of these weeks, I may not have as nice a story to say. All right, that's what I've been doing that hasn't been geeky, as that takes us way through this hour. Let's go ahead and switch it over and talk what little bit we can about what has been geeky with.
I'm a geek. Are you a geek? Geek cred, level up!
So, Ken, what have you been doing that's actually geeky fun and not all this silly nonsense that we're doing towards the end of the year here?
Geez. Well, I wish I had a lot of gaming stories and such to tell, but I just don't. I've done so much work this week. I've not done any photography. I've not played guitar. I've only just opened WoW, like, today for the first time in days. I've been playing that story app that I was talking about last week on and off while I was like sitting on the toilet or something. But that's about it. And that's I'll talk about that a little bit, I guess. It's Delight Games. You can get on Android. There's a multiple versions of it. You can get the full library. You can get the premium version as well. And basically, what it is it's a bunch of stories. That it's like choose your own adventure stories, and what you need to do is you make like one of 3 choices usually, and depending on your choice depends what happens in the rest of the thing. So you have stats, like you may have like I think so some of the games have like cool, money, and humanity, and basically your choices are either good or evil, or they get you money or you lose money, or you're seen as cool or you're not cool. And the better you do, like the higher score you get, based on those stats at the end of each level, each chapter of the book, you get a bunch of coins which can be spent on unlocking chapters. So at the very start of the game, it's easy because there's so many first chapters free, so you just unlock loads of coins, and you can get through a couple entire books really easily. But it's once you've done a few books, that right now where I am, you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm starting to find it tough to actually unlock these games now. Oh. Because I haven't been getting the top score, and you really need to be getting top scores to be able to get enough coins. I usually come in like 2 out of 4 or whatever. So it's good fun, and I do recommend it, but just be wary, because the problem is, like, you start off with like 80 coins or something, and it's like 30 coins to unlock a chapter, and every time you do that, you get a big chunk of money, and like you every time you play a game, you get a chunk of money, and it's usually enough to keep going. But now I'm at a stage where I think I'm at like 18 coins. I need 30, and I've only got 2 chapters left that I can play without paying. So I think I'm gonna get to a stage, and the problem is because like I said, it's 30 coins to unlock a chapter, right? Yep. 5 coins cost like £4.
Oh,
so, yeah, it's a steep price point. I think you can unlock all the stories for something like £15, so like $20 or something, right? But still, not ideal. So I'm really enjoying it. I do recommend it, and to be honest, I should pay them because they make great games, and I'm enjoying it, and I don't have any qualms with that, right? Like if you make a good game, you deserve some cash. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. So maybe I should consider just forking out the cash for the rest of the stories. But I feel at this point, when I've already unlocked so many through just playing what kind of well, I feel like I should just redo some of the stories and waste my time, I guess, doing the same stories again but better, not making such silly choices. Like it's something like you usually have a choice of like you're standing in outside this door, and on the other side you hear lots of scraping noises. You need to go further ahead, or you can stop and listen, or you could open the door and try and take a peek. And if you barge in, you lose life. If you take a peek, that might be the good choice. It might not. You have to kind of think about it. And if it is, you get like cool points, and you don't lose health. But then again, sitting just waiting and listening might also be the good point, because if you open the door, then maybe they'll see you, and so yada 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 yada. So basically, you're basically predicting what you think the storyteller would do, and that's kind of tough. That's pretty tough to do, to work out. So it's a tough game to play. I do recommend it. It is really good, and it's called Delight Games. It's available on Android and possibly iOS. Yes, it's available on iOS as well. It is lots of fun. The stories include, let me see, 35 different titles, including Wizard's Choice, Rogue's Choice, Zombie High, which is kind of, it's probably the silliest one there. It's the most childish one. It's literally like zombies in a high school, and you have to try and get cool points and be like, and it's all about being this popular girl and stuff, and it's. The first chapter is really like just, oh my god, this is like playing a Twilight book. But then the next chapters actually do get a lot better, because they leave the high school and they go do some cool stuff with zombies. So it does get better.
So it's the High School of the Dead, but without like all the cool action.
Yeah, it gets better though. You have a lot of cool action, and it is actually based in a really cool world. The premise is that you're in all you know at the start is you're in this high school, and they keep using these weird names for people's houses, like they call them pods, and then they keep calling like. They're not called zombies either. They're called, I can't remember what it is. EVs. which stands for like RVs, like rigor mortis or something. That's what it stands for. I don't know. And you keep hearing these weird words like pods and zones, and you're thinking like, oh, clearly. Then they mentioned the World War Z sort of thing. It's not actually called that, but you know, when the zombie outbreak happened, and in their history classes, that's what they learn about is like the zombie history, which is cool. It's quite a nice premise. And then you eventually learn that they live underground. They live like massively underground, and there's this like dome above them where they've never, all the kids have never seen the outside world. They've been there for like 18 years. And throughout the series, they eventually get to the surface and they just find it infested with zombies. Like you can't see anything but zombies to the horizon, and it's just cool. It's a cool world. Even though the premise is kind of silly at the start, where you're in zombie high, but it does get a little bit better. There's Detective Choice, which is a noir mystery. There's The Witch Saga, which is a fantasy set in the 1930s. There's The Bionic Bikini, which is a sci-fi humor thing. Pirates Never Die, which is a pirate adventure. Deep Space Huntress, which is a space opera. Monster Myths, which is a reality show. There's Superhero's Choice, which is a superhero adventure, and there's Ghost Hunter, J.J. Jones, which is a children's adventure. So there's a huge mix of genres, and it is lots of fun, and it is free to an extent. But again, I do recommend it. It is a lot of fun. It's a great game. So other than that, I've been playing WoW. I realized in the past week that there's Warcraft's 12th anniversary in the past week, right? In the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
So as usual, there's an event on, and that event you get this little token that says lasts for 1 hour, get 12% increased rep and XP. And so my thought was, you know, that means for 1 hour I get increased rep and XP, and that's it. So what it actually means is you get that for 1 hour, but the item doesn't disappear once you use it. It's not got charges.
Okay.
It lasts for the full period, so you can reuse it. So every time you play the game, you should be right-clicking on this token and getting your 12% extra for the whole 2 weeks. And I thought it was so for the first week of me playing all last week, where I played quite a lot last week.
You didn't do that?
Yeah, I thought it was all about just you save it for the one time you're in like a dungeon, and you know you're in a group that's going to last for more than a couple of dungeons or whatever, and you make the most of it. But no, turns out it's actually entirely open, lasts for like 2 weeks straight, and I should have done that in the first place, and I'm kicking myself for wasting so much time. That would have been a couple of levels, but now I'm concentrating on so I've got my level 110 Death Knight, which is my first max level. I've now got my Shaman max level, who's also my highest item level and stuff now as well. I'm doing quite well. Not done any mythics yet. I've just managed to get into heroics now. I got my item level high enough, so now I'm trying to get my item level high enough to do mythics and raids, and then that'll be fun. And I've also been doing a lot of world quests. I find them quite fun, and I've still not completed the quest lines of my Shaman yet either, so I've got a lot to do.
Wow.
But because of all the 12% increase stuff that's going on just now, I'm trying to play my alts more to try and make most of this. I mean, like, hey, it's going to be 12% faster, right? So why wouldn't I do that right now? So I've been playing my Death Knight, who last week was level 60, and he's now level 64. And that's just from like 2 or 3 hours of playing, just because I'm just rushing dungeons and I'm playing as a tank. So I just constantly have, you know, non-stop dungeons because I'm a tank. So it's nice and easy. So I'm trying to do that as fast as I can. But yeah, that's been, believe it or not, that's been my week in Geek. That's all I've done. I've not purchased anything for Black Friday. I was tempted by many a thing, including an £85 500 gigabyte SSD. So $100, a 500 gig SSD was available yesterday, and I almost bought it.
That you should have done, since ye of little hard drive space. And especially ye of no speed for hard drive space, that would have been a worthwhile purchase.
Say that, but £80 is a lot of money, and it's stuff that I should be getting so unemployed. I can't.
I know there's responsible ways to spend your money, and it's probably the right thing to do all the time, and I need to convince myself to do that. But that's something you would use, and we would all benefit from.
Yeah, I know. But I'll do it eventually. The thing is, there's still Cyber Monday to come on Monday. You never know. It might be even cheaper, then I might consider it. So we'll see. And besides, it's always Christmas as well, you know. I can hold on and hope.
There's truth.
We'll see. Yeah. All right, so that's been my weekend geek. Sir, what have you been
All
up
right.
to?
Well, with that, I think we'll take a break. We'll come back and read emails, and then we will get into my geek cred, and then we'll switch things over and talk a little geekoscope. So we're going to take a break. We're going to listen to, which song did I grab? This is, I think, a pony song. So we'll see how this one plays out, and we will be back right after this. You're listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com, and we'll be back with you right after this.
Send in your emails to showx@vtwproductions.com. listening to Show X on VTWProductions.com.
As I totally picked the wrong one and hit the intro music for essentially Slayers. So, we'll see if we get flagged. Hopefully, we'll go on. Anyhow, as we continue the Geek
I recognize
cred.
that song. I thought I'd recognize that from some anime thing.
Yep, nope, that's something that Copy has probably exposed you to before, since she knows every word to that in Japanese.
I'm sure she was singing along.
And she said she was listening to that before during the pre-show music. Anyhow, speaking of
she
Copy,
just said the IRC, I should sing this to Ken in TeamSpeak. He'll love that. Yeah.
yes, Ken, it'd be great. Although, actually, what was it?
Kawaii.
You are so cute, Ken. Actually, it reminds me a little bit, though, that I just started, although I'm going to read emails, and we have one from Copy, speaking of which. But I just started watching Dragon Ball Super, because the newest incarnation of Dragon Ball Z that has come out, the next generation of, I just started watching that. I was kind of curious if you had been watching or doing anything with that yourself. Because I know that's like the one series, that you can actually appreciate.
Well, I don't even appreciate it, and nostalgically appreciate it. I wouldn't even say it's good. I just say that I enjoy it because I watched it as a kid more than anything.
But this is a whole new series.
I've not watched it. All I've been watching recently is Black Mirror. Have you heard that series?
I don't know that one.
Oh, I think it's a UK-based one. But it's basically a modern version of Twilight Zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like some of the episodes are a bit mediocre, but some of them they're all standalone episodes, completely standalone. So you can start from like any season you wish, really.
Nice.
But some of them are really good, like theories on reality and what if situations. Like for example, in one of them, it's like the near distant future, like a couple of years ahead in the future, where if a spouse of yours or somebody that you love or whatever dies, you can buy a clone of them made like out of like near human stuff that's better at killing or whatever, and it is a robot, so it follows your commands and it trusts you as the administrator, sort of thing. It is a computer. However, it analyzes. It's an AI which analyzes your that person who died social media feeds and their phone calls and everything, and learns learns as much as it can.
Personality from everything that's out there about them.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. It's just a cool concept, and one of the issues that comes up is the fact that this girl's having sex with her now dead husband's clone, and she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you just you're doing something completely different than normal?" And the guy goes, "Oh well, there's no record on social media of how Terry or whatever his name is used to have sex with you, so I'm just following a guide that I found on YouTube."
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, it's a really good show. If anybody's watched this, do tell, because it's I'd love to talk about it. It's a really fun show.
When you're talking about AI, I will throw out there again for anybody who really likes the idea of AI and what that could mean in going forward in sci-fi, please watch Westworld. I was going to come up in my section anyways because I just got through the 7th episode of it. I know the 8th is out and 9th comes out tonight, but holy cow, that one lent me a whole new direction where I was just like, dang, there's so much depth to this show. So many different layers, and it's so good. I would love to have more people to talk about Westworld with, so much like you're saying with Black Mirror, you said? Or is it...
Black Mirror, yeah.
Yeah, with Black Mirror in the series you're watching. Anyhow. All right, no, that's cool. All right, I'm going to read this email from Copy, and then we'll get into what we've been doing for our Geek Cred. It says, hello, Wayne and drunk, fearless leader, Dr. Lord Reverend, Professor, and Bachelor of Science with the highest of honors, Kenneth Neal Reed II. Just want to say hi. Not much going on because I'm letting my costume consume much of my time. I'm going to be a pretty princess. Speaking of pretty, my most beautiful and oldest child, Lantis, has now been online and active for 14 years. Happy birthday, you adorable bastard. Yes, I'm celebrating the birthday of my alter ego. If my sister hadn't regularly called him Copy, I would actively be online as Lantis Greyfield, not that it has ever stopped me from making accounts in his name. Back to crafting. See you next Sunday. Much love, the original Copy. So yes, this goes on to, I believe, from your first iteration is still Phantasy Star Online versus it being a different location. And so, happy birthday, Lantis Greyfield, your online avatar for many a game, but starting out 14 years ago. And so thank you for that copy, as we let everybody know about your geek cred. All right, so for us, sir, you've been watching Black Mirror. What else have you been doing that is geeky this week? You said playing WoW and doing all that. Is that everything? That was everything, right, that you've done?
Honestly, that's everything. Yep, I have
cool.
quite a dull, geeky week this week.
Oh, I wouldn't say dull, but it's just very specific. So for my geek cred this week, I started wanting to talk gaming because not that it's a resurgence, but I want to make a comment about several of the games I've been playing, and that is campaigns. Games that have single-player campaigns, or co-op but otherwise campaigns, and how much I appreciate them. So I've talked about in the past, I'm going to make note of today again, Doom, also because it was on holiday sale for I think half off this last week, and it may still be. But Doom has an amazing campaign that I need to go through and finish. I got very far into, and I think I'm almost done with. But also, I told everybody that I've been playing a little bit of Battlefield 1 and its single-player campaign that kind of jumps around different locations. I've been enjoying that. Well, I just started playing another campaign last night, and it almost was the death of me because I wanted to keep playing. And so I just started because I picked up on sale, and hopefully people saw this. Anyone VTW Gaming would have seen this. Origin was having sale for Titanfall 2. With it, it was 30% off, so you could get it from, instead of the $60 price, it was like $40. As well as I found a coupon or a code online, which may still be active, Titan20, which gave you an additional 20% off. And so afterwards, I ended up spending only about $32 for the game. And
nice.
I've played initially, and you can check out my Twitch feed, although I think I didn't label them all right, but my younger brother Earthweaver and I both started out directly, like too many people do today, in the multiplayer. He had played a little bit of single player, but I hadn't yet. We jumped into multiplayer to see how that was. I enjoyed it. It was different, and I'm not great at it, but I felt like my parkour skills were doing pretty good. And it's such a fluid, good-looking game. Well, I started playing the campaign last night, and I said it almost killed me because I had to force myself to stop. And I was playing it on hard, not the hardest of difficulties, but a step above the recommended. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, initially, I was just flowing through it. And then just towards the end of last night, I got into some seriously difficult stuff. It's timing between parkour and just the way a lot of different units are coming at you, to an element I got into this morning, which was a time element that is so slick. And I have to say that the Titanfall 2 campaign, single player, is one of the best I've played in some time. Like, I would probably put it up against, what normal the Call of Duties will do for a campaign, or Battlefield, any of these kinds. I'm really enjoying it, like super jazzed. And it just runs so well, and the story in it's pretty decent, and I'm enjoying it, just having fun. And I want to just play it more. It's one of the few that's keeping me wanting to just keep going, and not jump onto other games. And so I'm really having fun. And I've heard it's short. In fact, that's probably the only criticism I've heard, is that's perhaps a little too short of a campaign. But at the same time, for the price I spent, I'm loving every moment of it. So we'll see how far it goes. But I really do have a great love for people who can provide a cinematic, fun, immersive experience in a single player or a co-op campaign type of game. I think there's been a falling away from that recently, with a lot of games going straight multiplayer, where I have always been a big fan of that campaign type experience. It's why I really played all the Call of Duties. Multiplayer was a bonus. It's what I loved about, Skyrim and stuff like that have that in depth and in spades. The difference being in like an FPS style like this is it's much more in-your-face, quick action campaign, and feels much more like an action movie, where Skyrim is much more your long-term, in-depth story. And so it's a different feel, but it's still a single-player campaign. And I do have to agree with everyone who says that the campaign in Titanfall 2 is really good. So far, I've just loved it. And so I'm just kind of throwing a shout-out for things that have good campaigns. I wish there were more. I want more, because I like to consume a single story, get through it, feel like I finish it, have it close the book on it, and go on to something else. That, to me, is how I like gaming. It's partly why I don't do as much MMO, because that one you just keep playing. That's why I love things like the newer Tomb Raider that came out, and why I need to pick up the latest one, because its campaign, I just played through and enjoyed the hell out of it. And when I was done, I was like, thank you. I feel like that was a complete story, and I'm very happy for it. I'm ready to move on to something else. I love that. That's me as a gamer. I mean, I do love the multiplayer. I've still been playing MechWarrior Online. They're having an event right now where it's double XP, which has been helping us level up variants of our mechs. I love Overwatch to a degree. I've played some of that here and there for the multiplayer. It's fun. It's pretty. I still think Paladins is maybe more fun. But Overwatch is there, and I got that on a decent deal. But that's really what I've been doing with gaming lately, and I've been fun. And I just picked up, and I was kind of surprised by this, I just picked up, because it's also on sale, thank you, Black Friday for these things, Gears of War 4 from Microsoft Store from Windows 10. Now, there's two sides to that thing, I will say. I picked it up, I haven't started it yet. I just started it in one place to see if it worked, but I picked it up. It was on sale, which is great, but when I went to install on the PC, I actually had to go and start deleting things, because it said it wanted 80 gigabytes of space to install the game.
Holy sheets of paper. That's crazy.
80. I have never run it. I mean, Skyrim, with all the damn mods I've downloaded, I think was getting me up to like 40 plus gigs. And some of the new games I've installed have been as high as 40 gigs. But Gears of War 4 out the gate asked for 80 gigs of space. I literally had to go in and delete a bunch of old games I usually keep around just in case to make space for it, because both my 1 terabyte SSD and my 2 terabyte gaming drive are basically full. And so it's like, holy cow, that surprised me. But then I did, because I got on Windows 10, bought it, installed it, and then I went to my Xbox, last night or this morning, I forget which, to see like, oh, this is one of those cross-platform games, Play Anywhere games from Microsoft. I will be able to play this on my Xbox as well. I went to the Xbox, went to start it, and apparently it was already installed. And so, at least for my opinion, I was kind of happy. Because I was expecting to have to go to the Xbox and tell it, hey, I just bought this new game, please install yourself. But it already did, because it was linked to Windows 10. It already took care of it. And so I just started it and actually loaded up to at least the intro screen and was like, huh, well, that's nice. And so that was really cool. Odd little things I was surprised by, and I have to give Microsoft some credit that they're, I think, taking the gaming thing serious, and I hope to see more from them.
Yeah, not actually in the right direction, but serious anyway, yeah.
Well, but I'm just saying, they actually seem to be focusing on their single player, not single player, their gaming as a whole. So that was kind of cool. And actually, Campo coming into the IRC reminded me that I should also bring up that I did play a little bit of Rainbow Six Siege, which Campo's been spending a lot of time on because they've been doing updates all over the place. And I am still terrible. I'm very bad at that game. But I don't rage like I used to. I just feel like I never know what to do in most levels. And so when I'm on with Campo, I can at least ask him kind of every step away to play by proxy through me and tell me like where I need to put my special things, where I need to set up walls and stuff like that and try to kill people. And I've done okay where I can at least kill some. But gosh darn it if, I don't even touch the skills that Campo or like Paws have where they can just go through and clear whole levels. I just feel good that I'm not going as bad as all the people who've come in on the free weekends and stuff like that. Those people are terror bad. I'm just mostly bad. And so, but yeah. All right, that is what I have been doing for Geek Cred this week. Gaming, watching some things. I started some things like the Naruto movie, but still haven't finished it. Or one of the 3 Naruto movies, things like that. So there's more for me to do. But anyhow, that's what I got for Geek Cred. I think it's time for us to move over to the Geekoscope and start talking news. That work for you, Ken?
Sure.
All right, then. So, with this...
Technology, news, and more today on the Geekoscope.
So, today on the Geekoscope. All right, Ken, would you like to start us off, or shall I?
Sure, can do. But first of all, I want to recommend people to go along and like our Facebook page, because we're constantly posting the dankest and freshest of news.
We are so dank, you don't even know.
Because I just do nothing but post like gaming memes, and I had to hold back today because I had a bunch of stuff that I found was funny, but it was all very political, and I had to hold back. But if you like the page,
just put all the political stuff on Your Opinion Is Wrong.
I suppose I could actually. I might actually.
Hey, people still follow it, even though we don't have the show.
I mean, that's a good point. But yeah, like Show X on Facebook. If you find our stuff particularly funny, you can actually if you click like interested or something somewhere in the page. I can't remember what you can click. But there's something there you can click that makes it actually like notify you when we post something. So you can actually be notified on Facebook. So it's like, hey, Show X has posted something. You know those guys are funny. Or they're very, very good at seeing humor and stealing it. At least. So you can go along. If not, go along like us anyway. Because we do post some funny stuff up there. And I'm always getting notifications of people liking our stuff. In fact, I got told this week in a notification from Facebook that our reach, which is like Facebook's terminology of how we've been seen around the world, our reach has gone up by 11,080%.
Nice,
which
nice.
Sounds really impressive. I think it means it went up from like 10 people saw a post to I guess 1,000, but that's only one post. It means it got shared by somebody who's got a lot of friends, probably.
Which is also though why we want you to share us, because you may have so many friends, and we would love them to be our friends too.
Indeed. So go like our stuff. That's always cool. So first of all, I want to talk about something that's not really news, but kind of just want a discussion point here. Have you seen anything about Planet Coaster?
Oh, the roller coaster game, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the modern day roller coaster tycoon. Let me read the description out from Planet Coaster from their actual Steam page. Planet Coaster, the future of coaster park simulation games has arrived. Surprise, delight, and thrill incredible crowds as you build your coaster park empire. Let your imagination run wild and share your success with the world. Piece by piece construction, Planet Coaster makes a designer out of everyone, lay paths, build scenery, customize rides, and make everything in your park unique. With piece by piece construction, over 1,000 unique building components. Landscape sculpting, you can change the landscape. Total authenticity, recreate your favorite rides or leave real world at the door. However you love to play the most realistic rides and yada 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 yada. But it looks really, really impressive. The graphics look beautiful. It looks like it's just a really fun game. And the ratings it's gotten so far, it's got 83% on Metacritic, which is pretty damn high. And it's got very positive on Steam. So it looks, I gotta say, it does look really nice. And if you pick up a thing and drop it in when you're building it, like you put the plan down, it just looks like it was meant to be there in the first place. Like whatever they've done, they've made the meshing with the design into the real world look really sweet.
Nice.
And the people aren't just like the same person cloned a billion times. They look fairly unique, and they've got their own designs, and there's old people and young people and women and black guys and white guys, and it's just totally mixed. It's great. It just looks really nice and realistic. It looks like a lot of fun. It's currently pretty expensive, I think. It's £30 right now, so it's like $45. But if you have picked up, send us an email. Tell us what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear somebody else's opinion on it. But it looks pretty nice, and I am tempted. I hope it goes on sale at Christmas time. But
nice.
That's my first piece. So I can continue unless you want to.
Oh no, I've got one that I want to bring up because this is one that a lot of people have talked about over time, and so there's been some response now. But essentially, the people behind No Man's Sky have been talking about a new update that's coming to the game. In fact, we just got a post from this as well in the VTW Gaming side from our friend DJ Bullock. That they realized there's a lot of controversy out there about No Man's Sky and that it didn't quite deliver all the promises people had. They said No Man's Sky dev responds to controversy, announces new update called the Foundation Update. And the article goes on to say the future of No Man's Sky is coming into focus. Developer Hello Games today announced the game's quote Foundation Update, which adds the previously discussed base building feature. Which is also discussed the controversy surrounding the ambitious game. The update is slated to come out this week and is called the Foundation Update because it adds the first part of No Man's Sky base building and also puts into place a foundation for things to come. The developer says it's been hard at work for more than 9 weeks, and it cautioned that this update won't be the biggest ever, but it's the start of something. They also acknowledged the controversy and said the discussion around No Man's Sky since release has been intense and dramatic. That Hello Games has been quiet, but we are listening and focusing on improving the game that our team loves and feels so passionately about. Positive or negative feedback, you have been heard, and that will truly help to make this a better game for everyone. They also said this is the first small step in a long journey. we hope you can join us. So,
Okay.
So with it, the patch notes that they have a bunch, and actually it's a pretty cool page where it just says the update. Posted in the IRC, they've kind of got the whole design thing for it. I do not have No Man's Sky. I was avoiding it. I'm waiting for Star Citizen. But I do know a lot of people who picked it up and a lot of people who have suffered through what the game is currently. And so this being what will be version 1.1, so actually one of the major updates, says, welcome to the Foundation. They show a video essentially talking about the base building and some of the things you'll be able to do with it. They also talk about some of the core things that you can do, like farming, making a camp out and things, that they're adding freighters, as well as some new technology and resources. They've changed the user interface a lot to try to make it prettier and a little more straightforward for people, as well as a big part is other things like little behind the scenes. They've added things like anti-aliasing and motion blur to help give a sense of cinematics in the world around you and to get rid of jaggies and things like that. But the overall patch list is quite severe. And so you can check that out and see. I guess for me, the takeaway is that it's good to hear about a developer who's not going to just abandon a game because it came out of the gates and got a lot of negative feedback. I mean, this game got so many negative hits on like every service out there that I'd be amazed if after the initial launch, people have still been buying it. It's been so severe, and they just, I mean, they even talked about how, how in the Twitter feed or something, one of them, or Reddit or something, they had to like pull their account because it was such a negative response that they were just like, nope. And looking on their Steam page, it says overwhelmingly negative, and the overall is mostly negative, which you don't get that on a lot of games. And so
No.
it's like
Okay. You definitely don't get that in any AAA titles. That's something that you own that's reserved for like
on indies and
games.
just yeah.
So
I mean, it's good to hear that they're going to make an attempt to essentially fix this game.
That's great. I mean, like, it doesn't redeem them. It doesn't make them okay or good in my books. It means, but hey, this says they might eventually one day be better than they currently are. Which I wish them all the luck with that, because right now they've hurt their own public look. They look bad to everybody right now. They do not look like a good development company, a good publisher right now. They just look like a piece of crap because they promised a whole lot of cool stuff, made people pay maximum potential price that's really available for a game these days, and then didn't deliver what they promised. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they should be sued to the ground for that. I mean, if you promise you're going to do something, you promise a service, people pay for it, and then they don't get what they paid for, you've broken a contract, in my opinion. But,
well, and the UK is supposedly has an investigation in for false advertising because of all the things they said the game would be able to do and what it can do. Now, the negative side I will say on this is the challenge is that while, yes, it sounds like they're going to continue to try to support and update the game to make it something closer to what they had basically promised everyone, they didn't do that at launch, and so you're still getting the aspect of essentially asking people and fans to be beta testers instead of creating full-built gold games, complete finished games. And so there's still a challenge there. So
it's pathetic.
There's
it's pathetic
that.
in a way. I mean, again, I wish them all the best, because who doesn't want the game to be better? I was looking forward to No Man's Sky as well. I was hoping it'd be good. But like any game, I hold off until I hear good things, which is, in this case, I am so glad I have that opinion. So, hey, all the best. I hope it does improve, and I hope they redeem themselves, become a great gaming company. I hope it's the best game ever. But until then, they don't get any of my money, and they don't get any of my good media outlet. I will not advertise it as a good thing.
Oh no!
Then.
Like I said, until they earn it, yes.
All right.
All right, sir. Back to you. Yes.
Yes. So let me click on these randomly. I'll click on this one. Okay. World of Warcraft is giving away free in-game Corgi puppies.
Ha! Not just the flaming Corgi like I got, or whichever one that was, which is pretty cool. But
yeah, that was last year. So this year they're just giving a normal Corgi. You can actually now there's actually 3 Corgis in the game. You can actually have a battle pet team that's all entirely made of Corgis.
Oh, jeez.
If you so wish. For whatever reason you'd want to do that. But you can now. So that's cool. It's pretty nifty. In celebration of the 12 years of World of Warcraft, Blizzard is giving players a special anniversary gift in the form of the adorable Corgi puppy. Sadly, they're only available in-game form. I think that means they're not giving out real corgis. Nice
Yeah,
there.
please no.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody. I don't actually want a corgi. So that's cool. They're giving this stuff out. I like it. Oh, sorry, I want to sneeze. Oh, jeez.
Ken and I were talking before the show. The challenge of using mixer boards is the difficulty of not having a mute button right there, like we do on the Yetis.
Does this mute it? If I do that, does that mute it?
I have not heard a mute. I still hear you.
Damn it. Okay, does it?
I'm still. Oh wait. Talk again?
No, I'm back.
No. Okay, never mind.
I do have one thing I could do. I have a power button that gives phantom power to my microphone. I can turn that off.
Whoa.
And then I don't know how long it would take to come back online again.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be odd. Huh. So, hey, Kuro, welcome to the club. And now that you've just woken up and you missed us talking about you earlier in the show, that's all right. He'll have to go back and listen. So, yeah, no, yeah. So when we sneeze, you're now going to hear it unless we come up with different setups.
Indeed. So yeah, what you need to do, you don't actually get the corgi straight away in the mail. What you get is a letter telling you to go along to somewhere, saying, "Hey, go come to this place and get some stuff." And if you go, you got to do a quest, and the quest is just a case of go talk to a guy in Stormwind. And if you do all these things, then you get your corgi. It doesn't take long; it takes like 5 minutes. But still, you can get a corgi out of it. So if you're interested, you can do that. Cool. All right. That's the short one. I've got another one here. Let's do another one.
Okay.
And I'll stick on the theme of Blizzard, because I think that's kind of what we're going for here. Blizzard's job listing. This came out a few days ago, actually. This early in the week. Blizzard's posted a job listing hinting at an unannounced first-person game. So Blizzard is currently working on first-person engine for an unannounced project according to multiple job listings on the company's website. It's interesting they're no longer just the World of Warcraft. Can we speak about that a little bit, actually?
Okay.
They used to be just World of Warcraft company, right? And before that, they were the Warcraft 3 and Starcraft company. Like, they were the RTS company, and then they became the World of Warcraft company. And that was it. That was it. And I remember years ago, we were saying, you know what? Like World of Warcraft's not going to last forever. And that means if they put all their eggs in the same basket for much longer, they're not going to be able to swim much longer, right? Like that was a weird mix of metaphors, but you get my point.
Yeah, I've been hoping for them to kill themselves and die for a while now.
Yeah. So and then they released Hearthstone, then they released the new Starcraft and Diablo, and then they released Overwatch and so on and so forth. And I think they have a point of saying, hey, look, we are now able to... If Warcraft died today, we'd probably be fine. I mean, Overwatch is massive. Hearthstone is massive. Diablo did well for itself, so did Starcraft. But they're so big these days, but you wouldn't expect them to be. It's just by the type of game they are. But because of all that, I think they're doing pretty well now, Blizzard. I think they've got a nice mix of different games. And so I'm not surprised they're going further down this path of saying, hey, we should make more games. We should try things because we've got the money to spare, and you know what? If it does well, we've got another sweet source of income there that we can continue down. It's not just going the same dry path, and we won't have the problem of running out of like steam on one thing anymore, like this has happened to WoW to an extent. So that's good. It's a really smart thing. So they're looking for a lead software engineer for this new unannounced game. So that's pretty exciting. I wonder if it's going to be like Overwatch 2 or whether it's going to be an entirely new project. I really don't know.
Well, as I was saying before, if it's a single player or a game that has a campaign element to it, I believe that would be good.
Yeah, they need to go back to that, to be honest. Like, I've missed that. I'd love to see Warcraft 4, but I highly doubt it's going to be an FPS.
Oh, God. Well, yeah, exactly. Actually, that does bring up an article I have, but continue.
I would be totally up for Warcraft 4 being an FPS.
I don't know if I'd want an FPS. I mean, I would love if they did something kind of like what Warhammer 40k did with the, what was that, the Space Marine game that was their third-person over-the-shoulder kind of action game, because that's stylish as all get out and just a hoot to play. And so that would be really cool. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But first-person shooter, unless they finally made Ghost, you know, the StarCraft sniper game, which was being made and then eventually got killed and all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Unless they did that, I don't know. It's But I look forward. I'm happy that they're trying to do something else because I do want them to keep expanding.
Let's put it this way: has any game Blizzard's ever put out been a financial failure? Has it been a flop? Have they ever produced a No Man's Sky?
Ha! So I would say probably not. Financial failure, I would say no. But it doesn't make me necessarily happy about what they've done as a whole.
I'm not saying they're perfect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're a perfect company. Like, God saves, I think when nobody wants to remember Panda Land. But
a lot of people like the pandas. It's just you.
No, those people are wrong. So there's that. Okay, I do like Panda Land. I just don't like the pandas. To be fair, I really enjoyed Panda Land. I think Panda Land was very pretty. But the pandas can all just go away now.
That's just your aversion to furries, huh?
Yeah, maybe. Well, anyway, so yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to finding out what that is, and hopefully this one, like Titan, like Ghost, and like a few other Gate projects they've had starting up, it doesn't flop beforehand. That being said, I still think Blizzard are really good at that. They are still very good at saying, "Hey, you know what? We've made a mistake here. This is not a good game. This is not working out. We should stop making this." Like they do that when they need to, and that's something I can really respect. I really respect them for, is the fact that they can just say, "This game didn't work out as we planned. This is not going to be worth our money. It's not worth the time. Nobody's going to enjoy it. Let's just stop. Let's not make a fool of ourselves. Let's not tarnish the name of our company. Let's just continue on with the projects that we know are successful and leave this one behind." That's difficult to do, you know, and I really do respect Blizzard for that in the past.
That's true.
But that's
true.
That's me. So
so there's another thing that we can maybe give some, love to Blizzard for, and that is another project that they are essentially not shutting down. And that is one, and it's called, if you have or have not heard, but essentially the thing is, there's a fan-made Starcraft MMO, and Blizzard isn't going to shut it down. Oh. This is called Starcraft Universe.
I've not heard of this.
And so it's been a fascinating year for Blizzard Entertainment. This is an older article. As regards player creations using its property, earlier this year, the celebrated game maker ended up looking like a big bad bully when it forced the closure of the popular World of Warcraft private server, Nostralius begins. Yeah. Yep, and there was much gnashing of digital teeth. Flash forward a couple months ago, and now we have the open beta release of StarCraft Universe, a massively multiplayer game using assets from StarCraft 2. It's got the third-person action RPG elements of World of Warcraft, the combat mechanics of Diablo, and the starship mechanics of FTL, with a StarCraft setting. And wonder of wonders, even after the fiasco Blizzard had before, apparently they're okay with it. It wasn't always this way. The tale of StarCraft Universe goes all the way back to 2011, when a group of modders headed by Ryan Wizen announced they'd be making a mod for StarCraft 2 that turned the real-time strategy game into an MMO kind of like the other game of Blizzard's with orcs and purple elves. Apparently, or appropriately enough, they even called it World of StarCraft. Blizzard bristled, and within hours of YouTube pulled Wizen's videos showing its progress. In the uproar, League of Legends developer Riot even offered Wizen to apply for a position at the studio.
Wow.
It all kind of blew over, and Blizzard even gave its blessing to the project after Wizen changed the name and learning that Wizen really did intend for its creation to be a mod and not a separate existing game. They'd invited him out to the studio, and Wizen followed up with a successful Kickstarter campaign in 2013 that reached $84,000. And now it's finally here in open beta, and the proper release scheduled for, this would have been back in August, with an Indiegogo campaign to raise money for maintenance since Wizen can't actually sell the game proper. It looks stellar. Just look at the announcement trailer, which is in this article that I posted, and you can see some of the gameplay elements from StarCraft Universe. Now, I bring this up specifically, and I go to their page, which is upheavalarts.com, where they have it, and you can watch the trailer. It looks really good, actually. It surprisingly looks good. And being that it's a mod in open beta, it's essentially free to play. So throwing that out there for people who are worried about the cost of things, and especially reoccurring monthly costs. So yeah. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually just really impressed because that, in many ways to me, is so un-Blizzard-like. I'm used to them just straight up killing like everything, right? because anything that could even touch.
But to be fair, it is a mod. I mean, like they literally allow mods. Like that is their thing. Is they allow mods. So it's a modern day thing that if you don't allow mods, it's a bit weird. So I can see why they feel like maybe we should just not shut this one down. Makes sense.
I'm super impressed by that because we hear so many IPs out there, things that get close to being finished and then suddenly disappear because they were good.
Yeah.
And the companies didn't like that. I don't know. It's just neat that something, because admittedly I have a lot of hate and discontent for Blizzard as a whole because I think they could be doing more with the serious piles of money they've brought in over the last decade plus of WoW. But hearing them do something that's in a way honorable like this, where it lets someone make a mod and continue with it and make it really good, awesome. Good on you. Please don't go against that. Let it happen, because we need to. People are really just clamoring for more of your IP. I mean, that's how much it's loved. People would love to see more versions. Just like you said, Warcraft 4. Oh, I'd be down for that in a heartbeat. I love the Warcraft series, so please give me more. It'd be great. So this I thought was a pretty cool story. Just to hear that it's out there, it still exists, and you can go check it out. So check out Starcraft Universe. I'm
surprised nobody's made Warcraft 4 yet.
I almost put it into the same bin as I do Half-Life 3, which is that companies who I think have sold their souls to some entity of commercialism that says if they ever make that final version of it, it's the end of their company. And like whenever Blizzard finally makes Warcraft 3, that means Blizzard goes away after that.
Warcraft 4, yeah.
Or 4, yeah. And whenever Half-Life 3, comes out, then Valve is gone. And so that's why those games will never come out. So I think those are the deal with the quote the devil that they did. Or my joke about it anyway, so yeah.
Well, all right. I can see where you come from, though. Yeah. Yes, let us continue. Along the Blizzard theme, the long road to Diablo 4 is paved with more Diablo 3. Like many hardcore Diablo fans, the writer of this article on IGN was hoping for an announcement related to Diablo 4 at this year's BlizzCon. In fact, he almost expected it. Over the course of 2016, we've seen a handful of Blizzard jobs listing an unannounced project related to Diablo leading up to the show. Things have been quiet on the Diablo 3 front, unusually so for a game that's been a steady stream of updates since Reaper of Souls was released more than 2 years ago. And to cap it off, this year is the series' 20th anniversary. Perfect timing, right? But it was not to be. Diablo 4 Dream Warriors was not announced. But the show did play host to a string of announcements relating to Diablo 3. And in a strange turn of events, it seems that this is the best case scenario of how things could have turned out. Like that family in that film that couldn't afford Christmas presents. I've realized that the writer noticed that the writer realized that he was looking for was right here all along, a humble copy of Diablo 3. With the changes, Diablo 3, a game that has already gone from strength to strength since the release of Reaper of Souls, is now on the cusp of entering Paragon 700 barbarian territory. So let's run through the 3 big additions, he says. But I'm not actually going to do that. But he wants to talk about how the Necromancer's coming back. They're bringing back a lot of stuff like from 1996, a lot of the mechanics from the traditional games, and zoning out and adventure mode as well. So there's a bunch of cool stuff that's coming out soon with Diablo 3. Again, it's a game that I never picked up, but it's still really expensive, isn't it? Let me see.
Well, no, I think you can finally get it on some sales. Like, I've seen the starter edition out for as low as like $8 on the right sale dates. And then if you get the full with the upgrade, it's still closer to the regular price, but I think you can even find that on sale. Because I know I picked up the starter edition, played through the base campaign, had fun, but then was like, I don't need to go back to this. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's only $20 right now. It's pretty cheap. Let me actually check on is there any deal. I know it's not. I know we agreed it's not the best thing out there, but have a look. I can't find that. Oh, maybe it uses I instead of 3. Oh, weird. Diablo 3 is not actually coming up on. Oh my God! Autoplay, go die.
Don't you want to listen to the trailer right away, first thing?
It was not even on the page I was on. I just quickly went flying past it, and it was like, yeah, play, yeah. It's the worst thing that's ever existed. It is, whatever. But yeah, it's pretty cheap. I might actually pick it up because I've been wanting to play Diablo. But the thing is, I don't know where I would play it now. So if I buy it, would I just play it in a year's time? And if in that case, should I just wait for a year's time?
The theory is it'll only get cheaper.
Yeah, in theory. But it is probably on sale right now. Let me see. Oh, if you can get it from allkeyshop.com for like €12, €13 is the cheapest. €11.82 is the cheapest that's available for right now, which is like £10. Which to be fair, that's only a few pounds cheaper than it is elsewhere. Crazy, not crazy bad. I don't know. I might pick it up. I've always been interested in Diablo, but okay, out there, who those people who own Diablo, how long have you played it for? Like, as an approximate, did you play it for like a week? Did you play it for like 12 hours max? Or did you play it for like hundreds of hours, then put it down, kind of like Civ is for me? Like, how did you play the game? Is it worth playing because of how you played it? I'd love to know. Let me know. But that's a piece of news there. Sir, you got another one?
Yes, and so this one is talking about, and I had mentioned it a few weeks back or so about The Division, and how they basically released a lot of updates that have changed the game since when it was launched, and a lot of us played for a little bit and stopped. But The Division resurged after there were a lot of additions made to it, and GameSpot had talked about to the developers and come out saying that The Division's daily player level has returned to where they were at launch.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so it says, following the release of its latest patches, Ubisoft's online shooter The Division is riding high again, it seems. The publisher said in a statement that the number of daily active players has returned to what the game had at launch, suggesting that the recent patches were successful in drawing people back. Quote, since the release of patch 1.4, we went back to the daily active users we had at launch because people were so impressed. Let's see.
I have never heard of a game do that before, where the launch numbers are high, they drop fairly dramatically, and then they win it back with patches. That is unheard of. I am genuinely very impressed by that.
Well, and they continue to say, some people's left the game earlier than we thought. Then we had to make a tough call. Do we keep providing them with extra content, or do we stop everything for a while? Settle down, fix everything, and then once the game is where it should be, then we start providing more content. And this is what we did, and the community was super happy about it, even though they were disappointed at first that we were to push back the next DLC releases. Let's see, part of Ubisoft's effort to improve The Division and its dialogue with fans was the launch of the game's public test server, where players can test new features before they roll out publicly. That's something that I think every smart company does. You know, let people see what it is you're trying to change and do. I know MechWarrior has a public test realm. I mean, every MMO seems to have one. Things like that, so you can get that feedback before throwing it against everybody to say, oh, maybe this will break the game. Maybe this is a good idea.
Free beta testing, right? Why wouldn't you?
Well, and it's one that it's at least in your face obvious beta testing, not releasing a game that's still in beta, but actually saying, here's where you go to test the beta before it becomes part of the game. And so it says, The Division's latest paid expansion was Survival, which came out this month for Xbox One and PC and lands on PS4 next month. The game's final add-on is Last Stand, which arrives in 2017. Following the patch 1.4, another major one, 1.5, came out along Survival. And so, yeah, it's something that I know that when Campo and I played it again, it was kind of like, this is surprisingly better than it was and is more fun. Interesting. Now, granted, I have not continued playing it, but it's more because I've been bouncing around so many damn games, and there's so many good ones out right now, that I can't focus on just the one. But I will say that my retouching of Division was pleasant, and I liked it. So, there's that.
Nothing like a good retouching. Yes.
Yes, there is. All right, sir, back to you.
Fair enough. So I want to kind of read out some IRC comments here because they are appropriate. Let's see here. Hando says, Diablo is a good game for when you don't have time to play games. Okay. So it's the kind of thing you can pick up and play for a couple minutes, then come back later, I guess.
If you're playing on your own, yeah.
That's a good thing. Okay. He also said, I played it through and killed Diablo once with a demon hunter, and I also have a monk. I mean, I remember seeing my friends playing it like years and years and years ago, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And I remember watching them and thinking, I don't know if it's my type of game, you know? I'm not sure it was the type of game I want. Because Torchlight, as Copy says, she was too invested in Torchlight, so she didn't play Diablo much. She only played it for a week. Because of that, I didn't like Torchlight. I just didn't like it. I thought it was a bit bleh. So I didn't. I played it for a little while, and I was just like, I'm bored. This is just samey. The only thing that's keeping me playing it for even a little while is the freaking like RPG elements, and that's it.
Okay.
The fact that I could level up by continuing playing, and I felt kind of obliged to just keep winning that sense. So that was it, and I just didn't like it, and so I'm worried if it's too much like Torchlight, then I'm not going to like it. It's definitely not worth the money. So any thoughts on that would be welcome as well. Okay, so again, following this Blizzard theme actually, because there seems to be a lot of Blizzard content just now.
Yeah, now that we're this far after BlizzCon.
Oh right, you think that it would be dead by this point? I guess it's the things they've announced are actually coming to fruition a bit more, so that does make sense. Blizzard has announced that the graphic novel Overwatch First Strike has been cancelled. In this case, I guess it's the opposite, right? They're saying that they're not taking content. So I didn't actually hear anything about this. I didn't really know anything about the about this novel, probably because I don't care about Overwatch particularly. So, lead writer Michael Chu announced his cancellation in the post on the official forums, saying, "While we are grateful for the team for the fantastic work they put into it, we've ultimately decided to take the story in a different direction." Chu explained that the idea for the comic originated when the game was early on in development, and conceived out of desire to share the story of Overwatch, Overwatch's founding during the Omnic Crisis, wherever that is. Since then, however, the universe of Overwatch has grown and evolved, and while the core of the story remains, we've changed and expanded upon how we see the events took place in the first days of Overwatch. So basically, it's no longer applicable, so it doesn't make much sense to have this game released anymore. I think is what he's getting at. It's literally we've made something else now, so why would we... We thought we would make this thing, and we wanted to write with this thing, but then it changed entirely, and the game changed entirely while we're writing it. So why bother? And I agree. Like, why release something that doesn't make sense with the rest of the story? So I can see why they cancel it. You think they'd at least like just remake it or something? It feels kind of sad. It feels like a bit of a waste of an idea when they were already clearly writing it and it was clearly already planned, etc. You think they just like say, "Oh well, we'll just change these bits that we had planned before and make a new story or whatever"? But no. I think I've never been one for graphic novels, but you are, aren't you, sir? You quite like graphic novels.
Oh, I do like graphic novels. I think they're great.
Are you interested at all?
It continues on to like I want anything good, but I didn't heard anything about, so it doesn't really. It doesn't really affect, like, it wasn't on my radar, so meh. Well, there's a challenge, too, because, like, when you were talking about the games that you were playing on your phone, those sounded to me like a lot like choose-your-own-adventure games, right?
Yeah.
Essentially. And I am not a huge fan of interactive graphic novels, I guess. I didn't really get into the whole... was it The Walking Dead and all those ones from Telltale Games?
Oh, you're kidding me, really?
And stuff.
I love that.
Well, I mean, I started playing them, but it was like, eh. So I guess it's because for me, a graphic novel is no crap like a comic book, but all the series of it put together into one issue that can sit down like a book and read.
The Delight Games thing I was talking about, it doesn't have any graphics. It's literally just.
But yeah. So it's a weird thing for me where I'm like, I love graphic novels. I've never experienced one digitally. If that makes any sense. Like,
yeah, fair.
And for me, some of the interesting... I've seen some media done digitally and in game form that I have found entertaining. There's a couple of things out there that are... that are kind of... They're just telling stories in a game engine that I've seen. And so there's some like... Oh, what was it? The thing of Ethan Carter, like The Finding of Ethan Carter. There's... I'm trying to think some other ones, but the most recent one I had done, and I don't know if I'd mentioned on the show before or not, but it was on my Oculus of all things. There's a couple digital like stories and things on VR, and I'd have to look up the name because I don't have it right in front of me. I'd have to go find it. But I'd watched one recently that was a papercraft kind of look at a world where the whole story is done in VR and you could look around the whole thing that I really enjoyed, but it wasn't interactive. It was just watch it. But watching a VR film, essentially, and I really liked it.
That's an entirely different thing, though. I think that's cool, that's awesome, but that is something different.
Yeah, but I mean, telling stories in kind of a game engine, things like that, versus just having a true game experience. And that's what's weird for me, because I love a game that has enough story to be a compelling story, but I want to play the game. And yet, I like a story that's a great story that sometimes I just want to sit back and watch. And there's
So
that weird
two
blending.
ones
Yeah, for me, I'm okay having those as separate mediums, as like separate experiences. I do. I mean, it's just because I spend so much time in my damn seat here, editing, doing things, keeping videos and stuff on that. Every once in a while, I make a point of sitting in front of my television and watching something that is truly passive, that I don't have to interact with. Because it's just a different experience. Or sitting down and reading a book kind of things. I don't know. I like them a little bit separate because I don't think any of them have been done so well together that I can say, nope, this is the future, this is what I need from now on.
Makes sense. Cool. Well, with that, I think we're at the end of the show, sir.
We are. No, we are definitely. On my end of things, I'm just going to say, please join those who will be there in the gaming night after the show. I'll be there for a moment before I have to play some D&D tonight, as I'm doing the old school tabletop gaming, as we had a couple weeks that we had to catch up here. But I will be jumping in there for a moment and trying desperately not to just play Titanfall. But join us if you need information. All of it's on the front page at vtwproduction.com. You can get the information for our TeamSpeak right there. Jump in and we can all play video games together. But other than that, Ken, please.
Sure, I'll be there a little later myself tonight, if at all. But we'll wait and see, depending on things. I've been away all weekend, away from Kitten, so I want to spend the night with her as well. So we'll see what's going on. Okay, you have been listening to Show X on vtwproductions.com. Here we do our geeking podcast, and that is supported in many different ways by our listeners. Of course, listening in is very much appreciated, and we love you guys for doing so. But it's also supported by you guys sharing the things that we post. So our episodes, our posts on Facebook, sharing our page, sharing our website, anything like that keeps us alive and healthy. Because there's always, every year we lose a couple listeners, and every year we try to gain a few as well, right? So it's a case of we need both to be able to survive as a podcast. So please do share to your friends. If you like our show, make sure, try and get your friends to listen to it. Share on, even just sharing it passively on Facebook, or to people specifically saying, hey, you should try this out. I think you'll like it. We'd appreciate that a lot. Otherwise, if you don't want to do that, you could also support us financially by donating to patreon.com/VTWShowX. Sorry, that's incorrect. Patreon.com/ShowX. I always get those two confused. We take anything from $1 as a one-off donation to $1 monthly or higher. It's up to you how much you give, but it has to be minimum $1. But just buy us a beer, Just if you give us enough just for a beer, and if all of our listeners do that, that's enough for us to keep the station going without bending into our own pockets. I mean, we already spend hours a month on this plus prep, etc. So any help with the financial side, as well as since we already do the time side of things, would be very much appreciated. We do love your support. You can check us out at twitter.com/VTWShowX. That's the one I was getting confused with. Twitter.com/GoHex for myself, and Twitter.com/DocDead for Mr. Wayne's account here as well. Follow us on Facebook and like us. It's Facebook.com. Just search for ShowX. You should find us, no problem. You can also please take part in our contest. 7 days left. 7 days. That means that you need to go into the vtwproductions.com website, click on forums at the top, and go to the ShowX board, and you will find the art contest. Post something, please. Pictures of your Thanksgiving dinner, photo of your family being happy at Thanksgiving, some autumnal leaves, post I don't know, some snow outside. All these things are relevant to the themes, and that's easy to do. Please do take part. It's lots of fun. Thank you to Alpha Geek Radio. They support us in so many ways, and we really do love those guys over there. And we recommend that you check out their shows as well as all the shows on Spreadsheets.com. We have a nice level of quality here, and we're a nice group of friends here. So check out all the stuff. We're a nice brotherly network, a nice sisterly network. So check out all that stuff. Thank you for having me on the show as always, sir, and thank you to everybody listening in for because we love you guys.
Yep. Thank you all very much. Please listen to all the shows on VTWProductions.com and check out our brother/sister network, Alpha Geek Radio, and all the shows there. All right, we will catch you all again. Next week will be interesting because we are both busy, but Ken and I will be putting a show together so that you'll have something to listen to. You may have to, you may catch it early. It may not broadcast live, but we will figure that out. So there will be a show, just not live with us. Thank you, everybody. We'll catch you again. Have a good evening. Bye.
Goodbye. See you next zombie. Gonna